Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I am talking with Minako Abe. Minako is the director of the Tokyo Cancer Clinic in Japan. She attended UC Berkeley and earned her MD at SUNY Stony Brook. She has dual US board certifications in emergency medicine and lifestyle medicine. She was practicing in New York and New Jersey for over 15 years, but she found that nearly 80% of what came to the ER was related to unhealthy lifestyle choices. She then had the opportunity to move to Tokyo, Japan, and to take over her father's cancer immunotherapy clinic, and decided that to best serve her community, she would help her patients thrive and not just survive by boosting their immune system to fight cancer with both lifestyle interventions and cellular immunotherapy. I am so thrilled that she is here with me today, a fellow ER doctor.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited to talk with her.
Yay. So thank you so much for having me on. I think this is awesome what you're doing, bringing joy into people's lives, especially, being a fellow ER doc. I understand that there's a lot of stress, not enough joy.
Yes.
And what we see every day in the emergency room. So even though I don't do it now, it's near and dear to my heart.
Yes, yes. Lots of trauma and drama in the ER.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're not going to talk about that today.
Okay.
Yes, we're going to talk about joy. So how do you define joy? Do you think it's a thought, a feeling, an action, all three?
For me, joy is more of a feeling than anything else. I think it's just that warm feeling that you get, happy glow, a feeling of love that you get inside your heart. So that's what joy is to me.
Yes. Awesome. I love that. So when do you feel the most joy?
Well, it's easy to think of like the big things, right? The birth of your kids, your wedding, your honeymoon. But I think joy is more not something that, so much the big things. When you think about life in perspective, from hindsight, it's just all the little things. You can really find joy in all the everyday things. Like for me, joy is when I get a big hug from my kids. And my 8-year-old, he wakes up every morning. He sings from the moment he wakes up in the morning to the moment he goes to bed at night. And it drives his older sister crazy because he's singing in the shower. He's singing when he's sitting on the pot, going to the bathroom. You can hear him singing all day, and it drives her nuts. But I love it, and I hope that he never loses that joy. And it brings me so much joy just to hear it. So I think also, just all the little things. And I think you just have to search out for it every day. It's not something that just automatically comes to you and you just wait around for it. I think you have to search for it and look for it in everyday life.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you said that, because I agree. I think it's all around us. And if we take the time to notice, like you said, even the little things, it's like always there. It's like, and it's a lot there. We just have to turn our attention and capture it.
Absolutely. I think, there are a lot of people who are very negative all the time, and everything, when you look at the world through those negative lenses, and I'm not saying be, a Pollyanna and like, bad things don't happen, because bad things do happen. And especially what I do now, I see a lot of people who are, suffering with really serious illnesses, and you see that also every day in the ER. Life can suck, but if you look at just the things that suck, yes, life is going to really, really suck.
Right.
But even in the darkest moments, I think you can find just these little tiny glimmers of joy.
Yes.
That just reframes your whole mindset. Like yesterday, I was on my way to work, and I wasn't particularly in the mood. I wasn't that excited to go to work. And I opened the door and I was walking to my car, and I just saw these beautiful purple flowers that were blossoming. And that just kind of like, oh, that's so nice. And just that little teeny tiny thing made my commute to work so much better.
Absolutely. Yes. I love that. When you actually focus on it, it brings it in and builds and
absolutely
bigger. Yes. That's such a great point. I love that you said that. Yeah. Okay. So how about sharing with us a story about a fun time with
Mhm.
with your family, whether everyday life, vacation,
Mhm.
something that you really enjoyed.
So we have this little mountain cabin. I live in Japan,
Hmm.
so and there are lots of beautiful mountains and lakes and stuff. And we have this little tiny mountain cabin. It's right on a lake,
Hmm.
and it's sort of where we go just to recharge and be around nature and just my kids are different people when we're out there. We're all different people. It's like our dog. He as soon as we pull up, he knows he's like super excited to just be there. And there's something about being around nature that just
Hmm.
kind of really just recharges your energy and makes you
Yes.
feel grounded. And so this summer, my oldest, she's 12, we decided we were going to challenge ourselves and swim to the island, which is about 1.4 kilometers from the shore where we are.
Hmm.
So, over the summer, we worked up getting our endurance. And then at the end of the summer, we actually accomplished it. We, went really early in the morning, like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, before any boats or anything were on the water. And we just swam from the shore to the island. And I always think that sense of accomplishment, was really, really big. It brought me a lot of joy, brought her a lot of joy. And just swimming, there's something about swimming in open water.
Yes.
It's not a pool, it's not lanes, just on this perfectly calm, beautiful lake. And that was something that really brought me joy this summer.
That sounds amazing. You got a chance to connect. I mean, accomplish something that you set out your mind to
Mhm.
accomplish. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And then just to connect with nature when it's quiet, like you said, no
Hmm.
boats around, just 5:36 in the morning, just you
Hmm.
guys out there. Oh, I can picture that. That's awesome.
Right.
Oh, that's good. So, how about a time in your life that brought you so much pleasure that you wish you could repeat it?
Oh, I think, pre-COVID, obviously, travel, I would love to be able to travel again. We're actually been in pretty strict lockdown in Japan this whole time. Like, even though the numbers are
Mhm.
nowhere near, many countries, um, you know, you really just can't travel. Like, even if I did have to travel, when I come back, there's a strict 14-day quarantine.
Okay.
So it's, pretty tough. But I would love to be able to travel again. Again, these are the big things,
Yes. Yes.
that we wish we could do. I'd love to, I had a really wonderful honeymoon in Italy, and
Mm.
I had the opportunity to teach a CME course in Hawaii,
Mhm.
on a cruise ship. And then afterwards is a CME course for doctors. And then afterwards, I spent some time visiting the various islands. And I would just love to do something like that again when things open back up, hopefully.
Yes, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow, put that on my bucket list.
Yeah, really.
Oh, good stuff. Wow, I like
Mhm.
that one. So, how about a time? Maybe tell us a story about a
Mhm.
time when you were feeling down and then something
Mm,
happened that lifted you up.
yeah. So, again, life is not always roses. It's not
Mhm.
like people show you on social media that everything is always so great. It,
Right.
because life can definitely suck. And I even had a really pretty hard day yesterday.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to, go on tomorrow morning and talk about joy. How am I going to do that? So, but again, it's remembering the little things. Like, so recently my mom, she's 83 and she's starting to get a little bit more demented, and she tripped and fell and she just shattered her right wrist. And she, it's so bad, she has to have surgery on her distal radius and ulna. And,
Mm.
because of COVID, no one can see her in the hospital, and I'm trying to get her in, and we're scheduling her surgery. And, and she's kind of confused, and she's like, what, surgery? I'm not having surgery, kind of thing. I'm like, no, mom. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this, um, admission is going to be so hard on her, to
Mhm.
be able to wake up from surgery and not know what's going on and being in a
Mhm.
strange environment. And in Japan, they keep you for a long time. Usually, it's not just like an in and out outpatient. They wanted to keep her for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
I know. So she's like, oh, but then she'll get rehab. And I'm like, yeah, but then she's gonna, get even more confused. And
Mhm.
so it's really a kind of a balancing act. But I think knowing, being from the medical field and knowing what's going to happen, what's going to go on, and sort of being able to explain it to her, a number of times.
Yes.
But knowing all that, I think, was really helpful. And in the end of it, she was like, I'm so glad that you became a doctor, which was just so sweet and heartwarming, and just being able to be there for her and just saying, I'm really glad that I'm here for her.
Yes.
And that brings me joy. And so, that makes me feel so much better about the whole thing, like being able to have a plan and to know what's going to happen.
Yes.
And I think just in anyone's darkest moments, like I coach cancer patients. So like it's devastating and there's so much fear. And even if you're in recovery and in remission, there's always that fear, like, oh my gosh, it's going to come back. But learning to live life with a plan and taking every single day, as a blessing and looking for the good in it, so that let's say you have 5 good years where you're cancer free. It's like, do you want to look back and look on those 5 good years and say, oh my gosh, I spent my whole 5 years being worried all the time and being fearful and not enjoying the time that I have. So, no one knows what's going to happen to me. I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. And do I want to look back and say, I lived every day with joy and, having, a wonderful life, rather than putting on a hole and saying, okay, I can't wait till my next, travel abroad, because who knows when that's going to come. So we might as well enjoy every single day.
Yes, absolutely. And what a blessing that you're actually there. I mean, trying to do that from the States and help your mom, it's such a long distance.
That would be really, really tough. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a good
count our little blessings.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, great. Wow. So how about a time when you erupted into spontaneous laughter? Like it just came up and out of you, couldn't control it.
Okay. I was thinking about this one, and I think you would appreciate it, being from the emergency department as well. And this is such a strange thing, but I remember I was working in the emergency department in New York City, and it was one of those weekends that there was like a marathon or half marathon going on, and we were one of the receiving hospitals. So they, the ambulance comes in and they're calling in this resuscitation. It's this young guy in his 20s, like super fit. He was running his half marathon, and he was just basically crawling he had collapsed and was just crawling to the finish line. So they scooped him up, and by the time they brought him in, he was unconscious. He was like rigid, and like his jaw was just clenched, and he was unresponsive. And we took his temperature. It was like 107 degrees. So basically he had, overheating, malignant hyperthermia. So we all, jump in there, get to work, resuscitating him, putting oxygen on his face, getting IV lines, cooling him down. And I was in there, and I was putting in an internal body temperature thermometer, right? So it's this long wire, and I'm putting it in his butt, inserting this long wire in his rectum, and I'm just, putting it in there. And then when I'm satisfied, I pull out my hand, and somehow the latex glove, the part that was on my finger that was in his bottom, was completely gone. So I'm standing there with this bare finger, and everybody turns and looks at me. And for some strange reason, I think it was just the absurdity of the moment. We're all like in there trying to resuscitate this guy, and here I am with this like a bare finger that was in this man's butt. And we all just erupted in this spontaneous laughter. And I think it was the combination of just the tension that's in the room as we're trying to resuscitate him, and just the absurdity and hilarity of the moment. We all just started laughing, just hysterically. Of course, we all got back to work, and we finished resuscitating him, and he did fine. He woke up a few days later in the ICU, and he ended up, being discharged, and he was okay. It always made me wonder, like, what was so funny about it? Because there's nothing really inherently funny about that moment. And yet it made us all just, almost drop to the floor in hysterics. So that's just one thing I just always remembered. I think maybe inappropriate laughter, but it was hysterical laughter nonetheless.
Oh, golly. Yes, I can totally relate.
So sometimes it might be inappropriate, but I think it was just there was so much tension in the room.
Yes,
And then
that's what I was
that
gonna say.
laughter just broke everybody's tension. And then we could
Exactly.
get back and focus and do what we had to do.
Right, right. Yes, high stress situations. Sometimes, yeah, the emotions are really going.
Mhm.
Just, yeah, like you said, bring down the tension levels so everybody can get back to work. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Oh dear. So, what puts you in the flow state? When you're feeling
Mhm.
really good, things are easy, you feel productive.
Mhm. Um, I think having a little bit of quiet time in the morning, before anybody's up,
Mhm,
going out for a walk or a run, and like doing yoga just on
mhm,
my own. Like I come up here, which is kind of like my quiet space,
mhm,
and nobody's in here, and I do a little yoga in the morning.
mhm,
And I love swimming, so like especially just swimming. And there's something about it that you just get into a rhythm, and it's just the sensations of the water all around you. Like to
yes.
me, it's very, very calming. So
Mhm.
those are some things that kind of put me in a flow state. And I wish I could do it every day, but I can't. So I'll take it
Yeah.
when I can get it.
Yeah, I agree. There's something about the water that is so magical. I don't
Hmm.
know what it is, but I'm a big bathtub lover and I
Hmm.
love my baths. Just the relaxing, the water, the warmth. Yeah,
Hmm.
I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah,
It is a pleasure.
it is. I know. I should do more baths instead of showers in the morning, but yeah, definitely it's like a well known way to be able to de-stress and
Mhm.
sleep better. Sleep is another one of those things that like I need my sleep. And since
Yes.
I transferred out of emergency medicine, that's been one of my blessings, so that I aim for, I don't always get it, but I try and aim for 8 hours of sleep a night. And I feel
Mhm.
like it really makes a huge, huge difference in my mindset.
8 hours of sleep, normal time at night.
At night, yeah, exactly. Not when you're shifting from days to nights and things like that. To be
Right,
able to have
right.
a normal, regular circadian rhythm has been a real blessing.
Yes, yes, it is lovely. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, one of those things that I guess most people take, if you don't work nights or don't do any shifts that are, off hours, then you don't really realize what a luxury it is to sleep
Hmm.
at a normal time at night. That's one of life's little pleasures, joys,
Yes, yes,
normal sleeping
absolutely.
time.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Oh my gosh. So, how has feeling good helped you be more successful?
I think it's so key, in every aspect of life. I'm a better mom. I'm more present for everyone. I'm happier.
Mhm,
And just in my job, I coach cancer patients, so I hear about these really sad, stressful, worries and fears. And it's like, if I'm not in that joyful, happy place, it's like
mhm,
I can't be of service to anybody else.
mhm.
So I think that's, really important for me to be grounded. If I just kept taking on everybody else's worries and fears, it would be so burdensome, it would just really, really weigh me down. So I think I have to, come up for air. Again, it's like that oxygen mask, when you're on the plane, they say,
Yes,
put the oxygen mask on yourself first, and then
yes,
you can put it on your kid. So
yes.
it's exactly the same thing. It's so important to take care of ourselves first.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
think, especially as women, we tend to feel like it's selfish of
Mhm,
us, if we take care of ourselves first. It's like we have
mhm.
to take care of everybody else first, but no, it's like you could take care of everybody better if you
Right.
take care of yourself. So
Absolutely. That's a great
super
point because
important.
you really don't have as much to give if you're not
Hmm.
filled up yourself, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really important point I think you brought up there.
Hmm.
So, do you have any daily practices, routines, or habits that you do to
Hmm.
connect with your joy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to be so intentional, and you have to kind of remind yourself to keep looking for it
Mhm,
every day. Just and one thing, I don't always do it, but one thing, like having dinner with my family at
mhm.
night. And when we do, I sort of say, not just like, "Oh, how's your day?" Because, "Oh, yeah, fine, whatever." But instead asking like, what was one thing that made you happy today? Or what
Mhm,
was one nice thing that you did for somebody?
mhm,
Or what was one nice thing that someone did for you? And just
mhm.
help them think about it. And
Yes.
rather than focusing on the negative things that happened that day,
Mhm,
that, and like I said a little bit ago, my morning routine, just
mhm,
I wake up before anybody else does usually, and either do my yoga, go for a little walk or run,
mhm.
work with my dog, that sort of thing. And having that little time before the day starts, you know, that is super helpful.
Yeah, I think that's key. Again, it's part of that, what you said a moment ago too, about taking care of yourself, because that's what's important to you. So you make that time for that and you have a
Mhm.
little bit of, me time before you go out and face the world and have to deal with everything, family, patients, all the things that are going to come at you that day.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
and then being able to appreciate that time too. Just
Yes.
saying, oh, I'm so glad that I have this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's good that you're bringing up the point that you're making it a priority, that
Hmm.
you take that time for yourself
Yeah.
every
Yeah. And
day.
when I don't, like sometimes I'm just too tired. I don't want to get out of bed, which is fine. And I don't beat myself up about it.
Mhm.
I'll just say, okay, I just need this day to, sleep in or stay in bed.
Right,
But then if I do that for a couple of days, I'm like, I know I would feel so much better if I just got out of bed and did
right.
something. So,
But that's okay to take care of
mhm,
yourself in that way and say, no, today's a day I need a little bit more rest. So that's
yeah,
fine. That,
absolutely.
listening to
I
your
think
body. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Giving yourself grace is super important too, I think.
Mhm.
You
Yes,
know,
I like that. Giving yourself grace. That's really good.
yeah.
Yes. So, do you have any tips to help others find their joy?
Yeah. I think it's just don't wait for the big things. Don't wait for that next trip to Hawaii or anything like that, because who knows when that day is going to come.
Mhm.
So, just really look for one little thing every day, and start where you're at. If you're
Yeah.
really, really in a hard place, in a low place, like even if you're undergoing the most horrible tragedy, it's like if you look around, there's got to be one little thing of joy that you can find, you
Mhm.
know, even if it's like, you know, a nice some flowers that someone brought by, or some food, or um, just a talk with a friend. I think in this era of COVID, we've gotten so isolated from one another,
Yes.
and especially you feel the distance,
Mhm.
and not being able to hang out with people face to face, or someone who lives across the country or in a different country, and taking the time just to talk to somebody,
Mhm.
and it's great, these video chats, actually being able to see their face is
Yes.
so much better than texting,
Yes.
or, talking to them on the phone.
Mhm.
Even if it's not in person, I think it makes
Right.
such a big deal it's huge to connect with somebody.
Yes. Yes, it is. And
Mhm.
smiling with someone else is twice as fun as smiling by yourself.
Absolutely.
It multiplies.
It does. It is. Joy is catching for sure. Just like feeling sad is catching,
Yeah.
feeling joy is absolutely contagious in a
Yes.
good way.
In a good way. Yes, I
Yeah,
agree. I like to joke and say that joy is like a virus
it
because it
is.
reaches out and touches everybody.
It is. It's true. It's like, a random act of kindness. Somebody's like holds a door for you at the
Mhm.
store or something, silly
Yeah,
like that. It's just like, oh,
totally.
it makes you feel good, and it makes you do it to somebody else. And then it
Yep,
spreads like a virus, like you said.
absolutely. Yeah, I love that about it.
Yeah. And like, on the contrary, if somebody cuts you off, like on your commute and you're driving, somebody cuts you off, it makes you frustrated. And then maybe you're not as nice to somebody else because of that. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
definitely, living every day with a little bit of joy, and being intentional about it is so, so, so important, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's key where you just said being intentional about it, because when you focus on it, then it tends to build, or then you tend to notice more, because that's,
Mhm.
where our focus is, and that's what gets bigger, or that's what gets drawn in. So I think that's a great point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for being here. I
Oh, thank you
really
so much for having me
enjoyed.
on.
Yes. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you or just
Mhm.
learn more about what you're doing? Where can people find
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we do some really interesting treatments that is really not available in the US or anywhere else in the world in terms of immunotherapy, because it's, treating yourself with your own cells, your own immune cells. And so, it's really kind of cutting edge, fascinating medicine. So if you want to learn more about that, you can find me at tokyocancerclinic.jp, because it's not .com or in Japan.
Okay.
And you can read more about like what we do, our therapies, our treatments, how to get in touch with us. You can actually connect with me on there, or you can email me directly at Abe, ABE, at Tokyo Cancer Clinic, one word, .jp. Also, I coach cancer patients, and that doesn't have to be done in Japan. It can be done from anywhere in the world. So you can find me at Dr Minako, DrMinako.com, drminako.com. And, I have a blog, some videos, and you can get in touch with me through there too. So yeah, I hope, some of you get in touch with me. I'd love to meet you and talk with you and talk to you guys more about, some of the things that we're doing. So
you guys sound
some
like
more
you're
joy.
it sounds like you're doing some amazing things. And sometimes, like you said, some therapies might be available elsewhere that's not available in the States. So definitely get in touch if you're interested, or that's, something that you need more information about, because there's some amazing stuff going on.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, this has been so much fun.
So thank you so much. I love what you do, Alice. And
Thank you.
thanks for doing this and for having me on.
Absolutely.
It's been absolutely joyful.
Good. Thank you for being here. Mwah.
Bye.